Right, hello and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, today I'm going to be reviewing a massively disappointing film, and I would say the worst film of all time, drawn with Alien vs Predator 2 Requiem. Now, this review is going to be really long. I do expect this review to be quite long because I have to talk about a lot. I'm going to be talking a lot about the original The Ring, not the American remake, not the Japanese one. So I do expect this video to have less views because it will be a lot longer. But that's okay. I need to talk about this film, and I know some people like my rant videos I've done about Army of Darkness and Matrix 2. This one's probably going to be the most rantiest because this film was awful. To start this review off, I will talk about a little bit about the first The Ring film, and I will say that is the scariest film I have ever seen. I have only ever seen two films that have moderately scared me, which are The Ring and Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity, watching it wasn't scary, but then the aftermath of it, like when the door creaks open, you're like, what is that? That's Paranormal Activity. It has its moments, I did really like that film. And then The Ring, no, I was about to say Rings. The Ring was terrifying, I think. I thought the build-up and the atmosphere, and you're hearing about this girl, and then when it happens, it was terrifying. It was amazingly well done. I loved the first Ring film. I would recommend it to anyone who wants to watch a scary horror film. I think that is the scariest one ever to be made. And I have seen quite a few, so that's what I would say is the best scariest film, and this one's probably the least scary film I've ever seen. So to start off with, why is this film awful? Everything to do with this film is terrible. The story. They decided to go for more of a mystery, a little bit like the first one was. But the thing is, if you're rebooting a film that's already been made and you make the mystery about learning about the Samara and the tape and stuff like that, we've already seen it in The Ring, so the mystery is nothing new. It's like watching a remake of Star Wars Episode 5 and not expecting the Darth Vader, I am your father, to be at the end. It doesn't make any sense. Why they went for more of a mystery in this film, I don't know. They showed Samara way too many times. It's called something else in Japanese. It's like Sadako, I think it's called, but in these films, in the American ones, they're called Samara, and she was shown way too many times in this film. One of the great parts about the first film was you never really saw her face, you never really saw her at all, really, up until the very end, and when you saw her, it was terrifying, and you always saw the people's reactions to seeing Samara from the tape, like the girl in the cabinet thing, the guy near the end. But you never actually saw her until the very end, and that made it even more creepier. In this one, you see the TV scene, which was what I was waiting for the most. I was like, I really hope they do the TV scene again. I want to see how it looks now after like 15 years of the film being out. I want to see what the reboot looks like, and they showed it about 15 minutes into the film, and it was awful. For starters, the editing in this film was so bad. They kept on flicking during the creepy scene, they kept flicking between one and the other, and this will be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen Rings, first of all, don't watch it, but yeah, we'll be talking about spoilers. There's a scene that you saw in the trailer where she's pulling this string thing out of her mouth. They did that in the original, and it was scarier. This one, it was ruined because it kept on cutting to the guy on the computer, learning about the Braille thing. Why they did that, I do not know. They kept cutting it into bits. They kept cutting the creepy bits, like she's on the other side of the door banging, and the TV scene kept getting interrupted. I was like, just show the TV scene, it will be scarier. Don't keep showing the main girl over and over again. We don't need to see her. It was the same again with the Braille scene and the part where she was coming out of the little phone thing as all the Beatles. Why they kept on showing that and cutting to it, and why it had right, I'll go to that part later on because that was one of the worst parts of the film. So the editing in this film was awful. I didn't like the story at all. The CGI in this film was really bad, I think. In the original The Ring, when she came out of the TV, it kind of looked a bit realistic because she like climbed out of it. In this one, it's like they made her into a weird pose when she was crawling out, and it just made it all look wet and slimy, and it wasn't creepy at all. It just looked like they were trying to shock viewers and go, oh look, we're not standing there up anymore, we're making it do with this weird gymnastic thing. Instead, it just failed completely, I think. I thought this film had no good scares at all in the film. All of them were predictable. There's a part where she's in the basement and she's like looking in the darkness. I was like, someone's going to run out of there, and they do, and there was no surprise to it at all. This film had no surprises. The only surprise, and it was a terrible one, was the blind guy is the bad guy. In the original, I don't remember it fully, but he wasn't an enemy. He was just this blind guy that they talked to. And I think that's what they threw in this film. I might be completely wrong by this, but this is just what I remember. They wanted to like throw it's a mystery film, but you haven't seen that before because look, this blind guy's the real criminal. He's the main villain in this film. Samara saves the main girl from this blind guy, and it makes no sense. It's so stupid. And then he gives her back this film. The tagline should just be, "This film is stupid." None of it makes sense. At the end, his eyesight comes back and he can see her, and then he dies. She comes out of the phone, a bunch of beetles make up her. What on earth is that? Why was it so bad? This film was so awful. So many of the times it was so predictable. One scene could have been scary, where she goes down in the basement, it's all like creaky and it just looks grimy, it looks filthy, it looks like a terrible place to live. And they could have done something like that, like her creakiness. Instead they just cut it away and they use, again, weird editing, and I don't like it. It ruined it so much. I was so excited for this film and it was completely ruined by literally everything. The acting wasn't terrible as I've seen in other films, but the characters were boring and I didn't care about them. The only character I liked was the one that dies in the first 15 minutes when the woman comes out of the telly. She was the only one who wasn't annoying. The boyfriend in this film, the thing I like about the original is, in horror films you have a lot of relationships going on and they're mostly useless. The horror story itself gets sidetracked by this relationship thing. They did it a bit in Lights Out, although that was better than Rings. And in the original The Ring, there was a relationship, but it was like a broken one. Like, they were divorced or something, they had a kid, and they never, like, you know, it wasn't ever cliched. It was really well done in The Ring. In this one, it's like, oh, I will climb the mountain and stuff. They said something really cringy. They do that a few times, and he was just not a waste, but he just shouldn't have been there at all. I wish they would have either kept it with the original or just not have him there at all. It ended up making their relationship the main plot of the story instead of the actual tapes, and I didn't like that. Again, I don't understand why Leonard from The Big Bang Theory was in it. I don't understand why he needed to be there. He was wasted. And just so many things in this film were wasted. The editing, and the worst thing I would say is the atmosphere. The atmosphere in this film was none. There was no atmosphere. In The Ring, the atmosphere was creepy, it was intense, it was suspenseful all the way up until the end. And then when you saw it, it was just, the atmosphere just made it complete. This one, there is no atmosphere. It was completely ruined. This film is so bad. The ending sucked, where she wipes the thingy. It says like Rebirth or something. What was this film? It was awful. Don't go and watch it. The atmosphere, there's no atmosphere. The editing sucks. The acting isn't, well, it's bad. The characters suck. The story itself sucks. The ending sucks. Everything sucks. There was no enjoyment. The video wasn't as creepy as the original. Everything in this film, I would say, is terrible. It is probably the second worst film I've ever seen, maybe even the worst. This and Alien vs Predator 2 Requiem, both are awful. They are so bad. Do not watch Rings, and if you do, make sure you watch it with a bunch of friends and you're just taking the mick out of it, because it needs to be banned from the world. Rant over. This film was, I just can't stress it enough how bad this film was. It was such a disappointment because I loved the first one so much, and this one just made the original less scary, in my opinion, because it just ruined everything that the original did well, with the acting, the performances, and the atmosphere. It just got rid of that. It showed Samara way too many times, and they shouldn't have made that villain the blind guy in the house. Don't understand that. So yeah, that's my review of Rings. I know some people will disagree with me. I know it has a really low score on Rotten Tomatoes, but there are some YouTube reviewers that I've seen who didn't hate it. Jeremy Jahns is one of my favourite YouTube reviewers, and he said he gave it like his third worst score. So I was like, oh, it might be good. Maybe it was that. Maybe I just thought it might be good, and the trailer looked good, and then it just wasn't. And the trailer as well. Don't watch the trailer; it ruins things. By the end of the film, I was like, the kill Samara, you think it's all done. And then I was like, but in the trailer, she still hasn't pulled the thing out of her mouth, and then it does. I'm like, oh, Samara's still alive. Don't watch this film. It is bad. But yeah, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Rings, and I will see you guys in the next video.